Okay. Welcome to our Tuesday, February 20th, 2024 Development Activities Meeting in collaboration with the Hill District Consensus Group, Hill District Collaborative, Hill Community Development Corporation, and Uptown Partners of Pittsburgh. The Development Activities Meetings. The Registered Community Organization program is administered through the Department of City Planning to incorporate, things on my screen. To incorporate community input and development activities. Applicants requesting to go before the Zoning Board of Adjustment, the Planning Commission, the Historic Review Commission, and/or the Public Art and Civic Design Commission for a public hearing and whose projects meet certain thresholds must coordinate with the RCO and DCP to hold a Development Activities Meeting, or DAM, to engage the community. A DAM provides community stakeholders an opportunity to learn about the proposals that may affect them and to share any concerns they may have before a project moves on to public hearing. Reporting to boards or commissions. The neighborhood planner or designee, which tonight is Austin A.J. Herzog, takes notes on the meeting and completes a report, including a brief summary of the project as it is presented, the permission sought, that prompted the need for the dam, the questions asked by attendees, and the answers they received. This report is provided to the relevant board or commission prior to the hearing on the project so that they can understand the nature of the meeting and the project that was discussed. The dam report is neutral and makes no conclusions. If you have strong feelings about the project, you should still consider attending the board or commission meeting and testifying. Presenters, please describe the slide being presented in order to assist those participating via audio to follow along with the presentation. If the host needs to change your status in the meeting, there may be a pause or reconnection circle. Do not restart Zoom, let it finish. After the presentation tonight, we will invite questions and comments in this order. First, the chat and Q&A tool are enabled for you to type out questions. The moderator will read out these questions in the order they are received. Second, if you would like to speak your question out loud, you may tap the raise hand button and the moderator will unmute attendees who have raised hands when ready. Third, for voice call-ins, press *9 to raise your hand. The moderator will announce the last 4 digits of your phone number and unmute when ready. This meeting is being recorded and it will be provided to your registered community organizations. On the agenda tonight is the Fisher Hall Bridge renovation at 711 Forbes Avenue. The project applicant is Susan McCullum and the developer is Duquesne University. There are multiple registered community organizations applicable to reviewing tonight's projects. When there are 2 or more registered community organizations, a development activities meeting, convening a development activities meeting, the registered community organization guidelines denotes that the Department of City Planning hosts the DAM meeting in coordination with the RCOs. Prior to the introduction and project presentations, we would like to offer each registered community organization a chance to speak about, sorry about that, speak about their work and about any engagement they've had on the projects. And I will pass it over to the Hill District Consensus Group.
Thank you, Osei. This is Brett Collins. I am the RCO project coordinator for the Hill District Consensus Group. So thank you for inviting us this evening. And Osei, we can go to the next slide. So, the Hill District Consensus Group is a membership-based community organization, and our bright beginnings equip us to become the Hill District Strategic Planning Table over 30 years ago. So it's important to note that several Hill District community representatives and residents created our table to help protect residents from displacement, build solidarity, and to focus on development plans according to the Hill District cultural legacy and their perspectives. Next slide. So um, is to create effective pathways for intergenerational residents to overcome economic, social, and housing disparities. And it's important to know that we stand for equity and social justice as it relates to race, class, gender, our true heritage, and other areas of disenfranchisement in our community. And we're committed to standing on for policy change and ill will political practices to help improve the conditions of our community. We believe the people that are most marginalized by injustice have rights and should play a central role in preserving our culture as well as our community. And we can go to the next slide. So this is a snapshot of our team. We have Carl Redwood Jr. as our board chair, Miss Edna Council Emeritus, who's our honorary board member. We have R.B. Bankston, who is our DRP and Community Development Committee member. We have Miss Carol Hardman, who's our executive director. Dr. Bonnie Young Lang, who's Development and Social Services Policy Advisor. Jayla Rucker is our Eviction Prevention Quality Assurance Affiliate. We also have Francine Bibbins and Randall Taylor, who are our Community Development Associates and Resource Navigator. And we also have Corinne, who supports us as a data coordinator. And I work with Randall again as the RCO project coordinator. And I'm new to the team. Let's see here. So through our 503 sponsorship and programming, we are creating opportunities so that others can thrive. We assist with housing stabilization, mutual aid, evictions, community projects, and host education workshops to teach others how to work cooperatively to reach a common goal. Next slide. And this is just a slide to show, our development patronage and relationships through the years outside of being co-creators of the Hill District Master Plan. And again, these are just a few of the organizations and partners that we've worked with over the years. Next slide. So we also wanted to note that while we were co-creators of the DRP process, the Hill District Consensus Group has left the DRP process currently observed by the Hill CDC as of May of 2023, and that was due to transparency concerns, process impartiality concerns. So we did want to note that. Next slide. So our process, and I'll definitely just do a high-level overview of this. And again, anyone that would have any questions, definitely reach out to us. Our slide can be made available by just emailing development@hdcg.org. But again, our first phase would be general concept review, which would be with the board and staff, where this phase centers on defining the conceptual and schematic form of the project. And the developers should generally describe the project alignment with the master plan development principles. And we can go to the next slide. And this is just our rubric that we use when engaging with the developer. And again, this we can make available if upon request. Next slide. Phase 2 would be the design community impact review, which is a community public meeting. At this phase, the committee reviews the project in more detail prior to the applicants commencing with contract documents. This phase is intended to review the progress of the design and to provide detailed review of potential benefits to community residents, businesses, and organizations. Next slide. And so as far as for this current meeting, we did review the Duquesne University Fisher Hall Bridge project, and we have no opposition to the project. Next slide. And again, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and Our website is www.hdcg.org. And as well, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us at development@hdcg.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany. Next, we have the Hill District Collaborative.
Hello. So the Hill District Collaborative is a not-for-profit registered community organization representing the historic Hill District. We were formed by concerned Hill District residents and business owners who want to ensure a clear community development review process with a high level of community engagement. And we became an RCO in 2022. Next slide, please. Our vision is that the Hill District be redeveloped into a safe and economically thriving community that maintains its historic culture. Our mission is to inform, engage Hill District residents, landowners, business owners, and nonprofits so that the community's interests and positions can influence decisions on real estate development, economic development, and public safety. And our purpose is to cultivate a collaborative forum that is inclusive and respects all community members. Next slide, please. And this just talks about our different foci in terms of what kind of things that we review: clean and economic energy, and economical energy projects, affordable home ownership, and we try to facilitate connection between African American business owners and real estate developers, and we try to promote mixed income, affordable, and market rate housing. Next slide, please. And we have the same review process as the consensus group, which is a phase 1 concept review by board and staff. And then we also have an expedited review for projects conducted by Hill residents or Hill-based organizations that are aligned with master plan goals, that are located in the Hill, directly benefiting Hill residents and organizations. And so that one is one where we don't really have a full community meeting. We might have a meeting and we invite members of our membership group to come and listen to the project, otherwise known as our real estate committee. And this project, because it is located in Uptown, it's on the Duquesne's campus, we basically applied an expedited review. Next slide, please. So we did see the slides. We received the materials from, I think, Susan, and we, again, have no opposition to the project that we reviewed. That concludes my presentation.
Hello, I'm Scott. I'm from Uptown Partners of Pittsburgh. Next slide, please. So like I mentioned, I'm Scott Rakella. Uptown Partners is led by Dr. Brittany McDonald, who is our executive director, and our community project manager is Dajanique Johnson. Next slide, please. So a little bit about Uptown Partners. We're a community-based organization of residents, institutions, and business owners working together to build a vibrant, sustainable, and just community for all. We accomplish this through the implementation of Uptown's EID plan, or Eco Innovation District Plan, which is the city's first adopted neighborhood plan. There are 4 focuses: community development, infrastructure development, and mobility. Next slide, please. So in regard to this project, Duquesne and LGA submitted the necessary forms to have the meeting with Uptown Partners Real Estate Design Development, or RED Committee, around early to mid-January, and the meeting was subsequently held in the later portion of January. There was a 2-week span where there was voting by members of the RED Committee, and there was overwhelming support for this project. Now, from there was a letter of support drafted from the RED Committee to, or labeled to the Uptown Board of Directors, Uptown Partners Board of Directors, and their meeting is going to be on March 25th. And so there will be an official vote on support for this project. And at this time, I see no opposition once that comes about. Next slide, please. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email me at my email, sricala@uptownpartners.org, or my cell phone that is listed on the screen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Scott. And now we'll have the Hill CDC, Dylan Brown.
Hi there. Thanks for having us, Osei. My name is Dylan Brown. I am the Policy and Planning Associate for the Hill CDC. I'll just do a quick overview of the Hill CDC first. Next slide. So we are a place-based organization focused on the redevelopment and revitalization of the entire historic Hill District. We're celebrating over 35 years of operation. This is our office building located on Center Avenue. Next slide. So our mission, I'm hoping it's not too delayed for everyone. Our mission is to work in partnership with residents and stakeholders to create strategies and implement those strategies or programs to connect plans, policies, and people. Those are our three pillars to drive compelling community development in the greater Hill District. Next slide, please. So like I mentioned, our three pillars are people, place, and policy. On the next slide, we'll go into a little bit more detail about those focus areas and how we implement them. So for real estate development, we focus on the commercial core and home ownership opportunities. That is our place pillar. The economic development programs focus on the people in the Hill District. That's focusing on business development and entrepreneurship, as well as home ownership and arts and culture. We are operating Nafasi Arts Center on Center Avenue. We have lots of different programs to help support the residents in the neighborhood. And then our final pillar is policy and planning, and that's the promotion of equitable development and facilitating neighborhood planning for the Hill District. Next slide. So the development review panel is the Hill District's unified community review process. It is community scoring. That is where any resident is invited to our quarterly community meetings to participate and share their opinions on a development. To give you a little bit more detail, on the next slide, please. The DRP was founded over a decade ago in partnership between different Hill District-based community organizations. It was designed and adopted by the Hill CDC after these negotiations. We wanted to create a centralized process for a neighborhood as large as the Hill District. On the next slide, please. I think I go into a little bit more detail about the process itself. Next slide, Osei. Oh, here we are. So as you can see, there's 8 organizations that make the DRP. You can find out more information about the DRP at hilldistrict.org/DRP. Every single project that is submitted to the DRP is available on this website for review by anyone that's interested. We try our best to update this as often as possible. As you can see, there's a lot of projects that we've already reviewed, and we have reviewed over 60 projects now. And on the next slide, we'll talk about our engagement with this developer. So, like I said, the first step of this process is a deep dive review by a panel of residents. It's important to note that Hill CDC staff or board members are not involved in the review of any development plans. That is strictly for the panel of residents that are appointees of the 8 different organizations that you saw on the earlier slides. After a passing score is received by a plan, and a passing score for the DRP is an 80% or more, the project is moved on to the community for their review. And what we score projects against are the master plan for the Greater Hill District. And so any resident is available to participate in our quarterly community meetings. We're having one at the end of this month, actually, at the Pitt CEC. Everyone is welcome to attend. We'll be having a development presentation from the Bedford Choice team. And we highly encourage everyone to attend. Next slide, please, Ose. So, as I mentioned, you need a cumulative score to get a letter of support. The cumulative score has to be 80% or higher. If at any point in the process the developer does not reach a 80%, the process does not end. It just continues, where the developer will come back to the table with Hill CDC, will work out some potential places where the plan can be improved. And this has led to numerous victories for the community in terms of equitable community development perspective. The only time a letter of non-support is given is if a developer chooses to abandon or disengage from the process of the DRP. That is when we'll write a letter of support, of non-support. Next slide, please. So we are reviewing the Duquesne University's Fisher Hall Bridge renovation. As of today's development activities meeting, this developer has not completed the DRP. They are engaged with the DRP. They're still going through the process. We don't have any expedited review plans. We treat every developer the same, and they all face the same process as everybody else. So on December 19th, we received an application from Susan. That was past our December deadline to be reviewed internally in January. So the project was reviewed in our February internal meeting by our panel of residents. And we're looking forward to the presentation from them at the DRP in March. And once it passes that stage of the process, we look forward to having them on our next community meetings agenda. But as I said, as an RCO, we only endorse projects that have completed the entire DRP process, and you can review any of those applications at hilldistrict.org/DRP. Next slide. So if you want to engage with us, please follow us on all of these different social media platforms at My Hill District. We have an email list that we send out every single weekend with updates on different development projects, as well as policy decisions that are being made that affect the neighborhood. And you can always find us on LinkedIn as well. Thank you all so much, and I hope you all have a great night.
Thank you all. And I will now stop my screen share, and I will offer it over to Susan McCullum, where she will be able to present her project for the Fisher Bridge renovation.
Can you see the screen?
I can.
Great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Susan McCullum. I am the project manager from LGA Partners. And I thank you all for your initial support where it's been given. That's very promising to us. What you're looking at is a context map, which shows the importance of the location of Duquesne University. It is primarily located up in the Bluff neighborhood, but it does have a big presence on the Forbes Avenue corridor. And this little diagram illustrates that. You have, the core the city on the left, or the west part of the university, And then Forbes Avenue continues out to Oak Glen. So here is an aerial map and a blow up of the project and context along Forbes Avenue. You see the primary Duquesne entrance at the bottom of McAnulty Drive. The primary entrance for the project is here on the south part of the bridge, the pedestrian bridge, at the top of McAnulty Drive. The Armstrong tunnels are below here. The pedestrian bridge connects the campus to Fisher Hall above Forbes Avenue. And then what happens is that there's an existing pedestrian bridge on the opposite side of the entrance at the bottom of McAnulty Drive that connects to the power center. And largely this project for the existing Fisher Hall pedestrian bridge will dress it up so that they provide, the aesthetics will be similar to what's on the Sklar Bridge, and the aesthetics will be elevated to make this a more unified an elegant entrance to the campus. Here is our site plan, and again, you see in more detail McAnulty Drive that rises up to here, south elevation connecting the campus to the south, and then Fisher Hall to the north. Here we begin to see some of the proposed design. Here is an elevation, the east elevation, and then the south entrance, where the structure will remain in place, but all of the exterior materials will be replaced. At the south entrance, the existing brick piers will remain, and it will receive a new roof and some new dressing at the entrance. Similarly, the west elevation, it's identical. You see the arch, the steel arch that is similar to the Sklar Bridge, some new signage, and the south entrance over here. This is view west. In this image, you see the existing conditions. This is the south entrance at the top of McAnulty Drive with the city view behind it. And then here you see, I think this picture was taken maybe from the Sklar Bridge. So you see the proximity of the bridges to one another. But what I also like in this image is that you begin to see some of these similar pyramid shaped roofs. So that expression, which also mimics the expression on the Sklar Bridge, it is the direction that we took for the entrance of the Fisher Bridge. And here you see it in the elevation. This, of course, is the view on Forbes Avenue, looking towards the Sklar Bridge. This is the existing appearance for the Fisher Bridge, and then this is the proposed design. There'll be a rendering of it that you'll also be able to see that will allow you to see it in context. Here we are looking, this is a view towards the city. Again, the proposed design and the existing context within the campus, and then with the city in the backdrop. So here are the rendered images. This is the existing Fisher Bridge. And then this is the proposed design. So similar to the Sklar Bridge, there'll be black aluminum cladding with a storefront system, a new arched bridge or roof on the bridge, and then this pyramid shaped roof above the existing brick piers. Again, here's the existing elevation from Forbes Avenue, looking at the Sklar Bridge in the distance. And this is the proposed cladding for the renovation. So you see how handsome that is with, both of these bridges with the same color of black, a similar arch, and then the pyramid, which is up here, beyond the foliage, but then sort of the pyramid shape at the Sklar Bridge. And that is it. Were there questions? Any comments?
Looks nice.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very excited about it. So what's next? Are we waiting for questions or comments?
Okay,
I have
so
no questions or comments. And again, just thank you for sharing the presentation, Susan.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for being here.
thanks, Susan. I'll be sure to provide a copy of the presentation along with the recording to all of the registered community organizations. And of course, if you later have any comments or anything that you would like to provide, you can do that at the board or commission hearing, if you so choose. But if there are no questions or comments, then this development activities meeting is concluded. And I thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good
Good night.
night.